All right, we got connection. Good. All right. So guys, back in November of last year, I made the Square stock analysis video, and it actually hit pretty good. I'll go ahead and put a link up here if you want to go back and watch that. In that video, I called Square a speculative buy. Okay, it was kind of hampered by a lot of fundamental problems, and this was the first stock analysis video I ever did, and it's a little cringy, so I apologize if it is, but it did get a pretty good amount of views and user retention here on YouTube, and very positive. Everything was pretty positive on that video, but I've had a couple of subscribers come and ask me to do an updated Square analysis video, and I got to looking through everything. I have bought Square around $50, and I added to it around $82. So I'm still long Square. I don't own a lot of the stock because, as you'll see as we kind of go through this, the still has quite a bit of what I would call problems. A lot of people can ignore this stuff, but I have a hard time doing it. But let's just dive in first to some of the fundamentals. And of course, I usually always start here, and I don't ever, I guess before we go any further, I don't let the fundamentals make my complete decision for me. I always try to be objective. I always try to look at fundamentals are a huge thing that I'm going to factor in to a stock, whether I'm going to buy it or not. But a lot of times, if the demand is there, if the product is hot, and if it is a highly trending subject and people are going to, gravitate towards it, then sometimes I will ignore fundamentals, or I will place them in the lower importance of lesser of importance as compared to maybe, like I said, demand and storyline and then upcoming news. So they have a $35 billion market cap. A lot of experts feel that is they're very, very overvalued right now, and that they're in the nosebleed section of valuation metrics. I don't really believe that. I still believe they're kind of undervalued. Otherwise I wouldn't have the stock in my portfolio. But where you're going to get that right here, you have 107.97 forward PE ratio. Again, PE ratio is important, but the PE ratio doesn't calculate demand. The PE ratio doesn't calculate investing into the product, investing into what the future may be and what we already have. So jump right over here, the 52 weeks, the stock has run 215%. And I think I'm over 200% on my lifetime return on Square. I just added shares the other day around 82 again, but very, very good 1 year run on Square. Of course, it's gotten up as high as $92 and as low as $27. So that really, at $27, that would have been a great time to buy. When I made my video back in November of last year, the stock was at like $35 or $36 a share. Moving down a little bit. Okay, here's still where I continue to have problems. Right here in your profitability and your management effectiveness. So there's still in a negative profit margin, negative operating margin, negative return on assets, and a negative return on equity. So that still bothers me quite a bit. Again, every time I go to buy this stock, I have to just kind of put these things in the back of my mind and try not to think about them too much, because you really are ignoring, some very, very big fundamentals here, and you're just throwing it out the window because, it tells you right here their profit margins are negative, operating margins are negative, and the return on assets, return on equity is also negative. So that's a problem. Short percent of float is around 9%. Actually, that has come down and gotten a little bit more reasonable. I think a lot of shorts have stay away from Square because they know what kind of explosive power it has, how hard it can run, how fast it can run. The short percent of shares outstanding is about 6.27. So that has come down quite a bit in comparison to when I looked at them back in November. And let's check this out. So they have the 47% quarterly revenue growth. I like that. Gross profit margin about $845.85 million. Now down here on the balance sheet, guys, they do have a metric I love. Okay, so Square actually has more total cash than debt, and significantly more. So they have about $1.62 billion cash and about $1.07 billion of debt. So that is something I really like. That's one of those things where I'm going to ignore this, but I'm also going to not get too excited about this. You know, maybe where they're weak in one spot, they're very strong in another. That's what we got going on here. And so that is a really, really good metric. And then their operating cash flow is around $108 million, and their levered free cash flow is around $111 million. Okay, so that's also unique, is that their levered free cash flow is higher than their operating cash flow, and that's what allows them to have more cash than total debt. But I do want to be clear that, you know, the negative margins really, really bother me, and they still do. Okay, let's check out the chart. So this is the last year that Square has run. So I made that video on November 20th of 2017. I guess it was about $45 a share, and that's when I called them a buy. And it dipped down for a little while. It dipped down back under the 30s, and by January it regained everything that it's lost. And since then, it's just been on an absolute phenomenally big tear. Like I said, it's gotten up as high as $93, maybe $92. Let's see, maybe they'll tell me right down here. Let's see what we got. Well, maybe not. I just used Robinhood because I like the chart. I think the chart looks really good on screen. But right up here, I know they've hit $90. Yeah, so there we go. We got one where it's hit at $92. And I know I've seen a lot of people talk about their shorting it when it hit $90. I know short interest spiked up really high there around $92, and now it's drifted back to about $85. They did take about a 2 or 3% loss yesterday while the market was running. But you know, not many stocks out there would have given you this kind of return over the past year. You know, in 5 years, of course, they've only been on the market since 2015, but this was an $11 stock when they IPO'd, and you know, so you could have got what we call a 10-banger, or a 1,000% return, or close to it. You know, not quite 1,000% return. Looks like about 661% return, but like I said, in less than 3 years, you're not going to make a better investment than that. And like I said, it kind of goes back to even just some of my personal experiences I've had where I've been traveling, been on the road, even locally. So the gym I go to, everything in there has a Square reader on it. Where I get me and my son's haircut, they have Square readers on everything. You know, I know a lot of travel merchants. I know a lot of like local businesses, a lot of different stuff. Everywhere I go, I'm swiping my card on someone's Square reader. So it's a very, very popular and disruptive, payment method. And I haven't had a reason to have a Square reader yet. You know, I still do most all of my transactions through a bank or routing numbers, or like I said, a lot of times I, for example, in real estate or in housing, it's still very old school, and they want to take their time and do it the old-fashioned slow way, and they still do a lot of faxes and stuff. But there is some real estate agents that are getting interested in Square. I've even talked to them about it, I'm like, hey, this will help my stock out a little bit if you'd get involved with Square. But hasn't quite hit the real estate market like it probably should or could have, you know. Let's check out some news. Okay, so here a while back, this was the 20th. Square program, there's a new program to connect sellers with solution providers. So Square starts the Square Solutions Partner Program to connect sellers with partners that can build solutions specific to a business needs. Square small business owners as well as large-scale sellers will be able to identify Square-approved agencies, resellers, or system integrators. Okay, so they're engineering and building all these things just to put a Square reader and do this on a bigger scale all the time. Okay, so this is not a lazy company. For a company that has more cash than debt, which is amazing, they work very hard. They try a lot of different programs and things to keep bettering their process, keep bettering their system, and that's what really keeps me so bullish on Square. You know, this is not a lazy company. They know their product is in demand. They keep improving on it. They keep building on it. You know, I've followed them for the whole past year, and they just keep on doing more, working harder for the customer, okay? And in turn, that's making their company much, much more valuable. At a $35 billion market cap, I still feel like they're pretty undervalued. I feel like they have a lot of room to run, you know, and I think that I think you're going to see $100 a share pretty soon on this stock. Okay. Now let's take a look here real quick at some of the analyst ratings. Now I would say the vast majority of analysts have Square rated as a hold. Okay. And again, the reason I think they have it rated as a hold, like I said, is some of the big fundamental problems they have. You know, because these bigger firms, they can't ignore the fundamentals, you know, and most of the, I would say several of these firms, they do have stock, they do have Square stock, or they do hold Square stock, you know, but, because, you know, there's even ETFs you can buy with Square and PayPal and Visa and MasterCard, and, you know, there you go, there's your, you know, your transaction foreplay right there, you know, MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, Square. And I've even thought about doing a live chat where we discuss all the pros and cons of Square versus PayPal and how both of those are really, really dominating and growing ridiculously right now. But, you know, it looks like the average buy rating right now is a hold. And some of these price targets are long gone, you know, like $57 and $60. That's history. That's 6 months ago. That's 8 months ago. Some of these higher price targets, the 85 to 86 range, you know, we've already hit those and surpassed them. So, you know, it doesn't look like they have updated their ratings in about 2 months. But something for you to be aware of, something for you to think about when you're making your decision is that, you know, a lot of these big firms do think Square is, like I said, it's in the nosebleed valuation level now. So just be aware of that before you buy it. I still highly encourage you, if you do get involved with Square, to not use a lot of your portfolio. I think in the first video I made, I said use 5% or less of your portfolio towards Square investment. Okay? It would be a really good stock to trade. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of movement in it, but it would be even better stock to own on a scaled down level. So I want to say I have about 7% of my IRA portfolio is Square stock. And that's about where I like to be comfortable. As it appreciates and it gains value, like I said, it gains value to a certain point and then it pulls back. I like to add to my position. So I'm going to go ahead and everything I've known, everything I've done, and even mirroring my personal investing strategy, I'm going to call Square a buy, and I'm giving them a $100 price target. And I think we get there easily by, I think we'll get there easily by about January or February. I think we'll see $100 a share on Square pretty quick. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about Square. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day. Have a happy investing. Let's get this weekend over so we can start trading again on Monday.